Welcome to Talking Horses. Greg Wolf, Maggie Wolfadell. I almost said welcome to Super Bowl Sunday.
Fair enough.
It is Super Bowl Sunday. I hope everyone enjoys the afternoon. We're going to get into a Sunday afternoon of racing. We're off early today, so everyone can go enjoy the game. Your selection for the big one, what do you think?
Well, I have to root for the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that's totally not the way you're going.
I'm for the Bay Area.
I am definitely not a Swiftie, but I love Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and I'm just, they beat my Ravens last week, but that was the Ravens' own fault, in my opinion. So, I'm going to go for a repeat here.
Yeah, it's like a Hollywood script that would be almost too ridiculous to even imagine.
Yeah.
Mr. Irrelevant against a guy who's probably going to go down as the GOAT head-to-head. It's crazy. So,
you're right.
Going to be fun. I just hope Brock Purdy shows up, has a good game, see what happens. But I hope everyone enjoys. It's going to be fun today. I cannot believe how long it's been since the Niners have won a Super Bowl. It was going back to 94.
I remember that. I remember that as, I think I was 7 maybe at the time. And totally have vivid memories of that. Who was the running back at that time?
Oh, my gosh.
It was Dan. No, it wasn't Marino.
Was it Ricky Waters?
I think so.
Wow.
Anyway, but I vividly, for some reason, remember that Super Bowl and them winning.
Going to be a fun one today. Everybody enjoy the game. Let's get through the business, then we'll get into this card this afternoon. It's a tough card to handicap today.
Yeah, I spent too much time on some of these races where I'm like, just pick the favorite.
You have to spend a lot of time because it's difficult, and you wind up going back to the favorite.
Yeah.
$200 deposit match. Sign up today, match 200 to take advantage of that for new customers. Go to NYRABets.com and take advantage. Middle pick 4 starting, I believe, in race 3 today.
Yeah.
Race 3, 4, 5, and 6 starts with that maiden 20 at 7/8 with I think the most probably logical horse on the entire card, which we'll get to. Cross country pick 5 begins at 2:52 Eastern today, comprised of Aqueduct and Oaklawn, 7 and 8 9 from New York, and then races 7 and 8 from Oaklawn. We'll have Paul LaDuca, of course, stationed out in Hot Springs this afternoon, so we look forward to that. $5,000 hit and split. So hit the late pick 3 at Aqueduct and or Oaklawn. $2,500 each bonus to everybody who hits it at both those two tracks. And then we are on FS1 early today, 12:30 start time. That begins on FS1 until 3. Then we shift over to FS2 from 3 to 3:55. Then race home and it's kickoff time. And what's your go-to food, by the way, for Super Bowl Sunday?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I'm a traditionalist. I love some wings.
Okay.
Big wing fan. How about you? Wings and beer.
Yeah, I mean, I did pizza last night, unfortunately. I should not go back to the well. It's so bad, I got to go healthy tonight.
Yeah, what are you having, a salad?
No, but we'll see. I always say that, and by the time I get home, it's just off the rails. Too many good options in the neighborhood, too. All right, let's get into this card. $20,000 maiden claiming 6 furlong sprint to begin things in this opening race on the card. I'll let you start with what you like. The 6 in here, brown as a biscuit. We both like Linda Rice.
And for everybody, I made Greg host, so that's why the graphics are wrong at the moment. Said, what are you doing? You're the host, man. Anyway, I went to brown as biscuit because I found this good. I mean, Linda has good stats all around, but this was a fairly telling one, I thought. Second after the claim in maiden claimer, she's 14 for 37, so 38%, a decent ROI of 184, and those tracks that we saw the first week in February were slow as molasses. I mean, 130 for 7 furlongs. And I wonder, coming off a bit of a layoff, was it kind of taxing? Was it tiring? We saw the favorite next on stage wire the field that day. She was in chase mode. So I just thought, having that race under her belt, she's shown an ability to be forward as well, that I want to give her another shot in here. Many of these horses have done little running.
Can we just bet the barn?
I feel
2 for 1 with Linda Rice.
Why did you go East Stormy? Because I didn't particularly like her at all.
So actually debuted against winners in that glorified $500,000 stake first time out. So that was a really tough spot to be in for a debut. Drops down to maiden 40 in that second start and took a lot of money in there. Added blinkers that day. Actually was forward in that race, and I just thought maybe didn't like that sloppy sealed track. Did get intimidated, I think, potentially being down on the inside. And then horses started to come over and sort of backed out of there. I felt being outside today is going to make a big difference for her. She takes another drop down to 20 this afternoon. And I think getting that further outside post and being down on the inside for her, which essentially was kind of the debut for her. This is way too tough a spot first time out. Can be. There are a couple other speeds in this race. So I don't know if she's going to be the one on the lead. I don't think she has to be the one on the lead in here. I just think we're going to see a lot better performance from her than we saw, because she was running good early and then just completely backed out of there.
Yeah, which I didn't necessarily like. Yes, she was kind of going for it on the rail, and then she had to check. She was never able to recover, and Six Pack Senorita was able to wire the field that day. So I hear you. I just didn't think she did that much running in that debut, which, against tougher, I hear you, but it came up a slow race, which I'm not sure how much I trust it. I mean, Elite Status, who was favored yesterday, did no running in that last race, so that's why I held it. I can see East Stormy running well here and possibly winning, but that's why I didn't necessarily go for her. I think Amy's Light works out to be the speed here. She was another one that was drawn on the inside. She's probably limited, to be fair, but, you know, it was a tough spot to be in. I thought Dolce Veloce ran okay yesterday in that same race that we saw Elite Status in, and she could work out to be this speed. I don't know how much I trust her, but at the end of the day, I think they're going to send number 7 Union Bell off as a favorite. I think she's just faced better horses throughout her 3 career starts so far, second off the claim for Rob Atras, and turning back in distance.
And we both have her second. I think she's the filly to beat in the race, Union Bell. I think it's probably going to play out that way on the board too, but both going in different directions in that race. Race 2 kicks off the early pick 4, 1-turn mile, New York breds. I can't get used to looking at the graphics here. I keep looking at yours for mine. I'll let you start with why you like Racing Colors.
So Racing Colors in here is going to be a generous price given connections. And at the end of the day, she arguably has run the best, most fastest races as of late. Her last 3 efforts make her a major player in here. She went to the dead rail last time where we saw Bonadou wiring the field. She tried to rally where she was outrun early, and she tried to rally up that dead rail towards the end of that race. So I'm willing to forgive her a bit for that on the sloppy racetrack. And I just thought that there were some horses that were a little bit tough to trust here. It's a race where I think Jackson's Dixie could very well work out to be the speed in here and possibly the one to catch. And then Chasing Daylight should be close as well. So I thought that maybe Racing Colors could get the right setup and had an excuse in her last.
Yeah, I disagree with Time Form a lot in terms of pace. They actually have the 6 on the lead, which I could absolutely see
as
that.
well.
I thought the 5 might be the speed as well on this spot. I went to Chasing Daylight in this race. Rudy Rodriguez, Dylan Davis. Ran a very good race last time out. It's actually won 3 of the last 4. She's been very consistent. She actually won the debut first time out, and then she was just in some really tough spots. She had to deal with a very distant second to Into Happiness, that was the first of 3 straight wins for her. She wound up being second at comparative. But she's just gotten good right now, and 2 of the last 3 races, thoroughgraph-wise, are the best figures of anybody in this field, including last time out. That last trip at 7/8, racetrack was playing very fair that day.
Yep.
She was 5 wide early in that spot, 3 to 4 wide around the turn, and just pulled away from that group. So I really like that effort. And, it used to be a lot more forward. I think actually can be a little bit more forward. But, I mean, she ran so good, being so patient, and Dylan kind of letting her run into her own on that spot. Maybe that's the running style she wants to employ today.
And 2, she draws favorably to the outside, so he can let the cards fall as they may and work out and assess his options from that post position. I agree with you. She comes in with the best effort. She kind of won under wraps too last time. She's a little bit of a paddock play against for me because I never like her in the paddock. So she's one that I have trouble warming up to, but I totally heed the fact that she's much the horse to beat in this spot.
Move on to race 3?
Yes, do it.
All right, race 3, 20 maiden claiming 7/8 of a mile sprint in this spot. We've both gone to the 3. I alluded to it earlier. I think this is the most likely winner on the entire card in this spot for Rob Falcone. Just has 3 races that decimate this field. And
2, so she's either going to run a 65 or she's going to run a 45 based upon her past performances. But I feel like in those quote-unquote 45 buyer races, there's legitimate excuses. She clearly does not like a wet track, and the only other one was going a mile at Churchill Downs. So if she runs any of her dirt sprints over a fast track, she is going to obliterate this field. I don't love the fact that she was the beaten favorite last time out, but again, she doesn't like a wet track, it would appear. And furthermore, going back to the race 2 back, which was a very good effort, Kids Last Laugh obviously complemented that form, returning, winning a starter allowance with the 77 buyer.
Yeah, I mean, if she could get back to that race 2 back, this race is over, and it doesn't even need to be run. Last time out, I agree with you. Yeah, probably didn't like the wet track, but she was actually in great position going the backstretch. And then it wasn't going to happen, and I just kind of backed out of it, and there was done.
She just seemed to spin her wheels.
I think it's a great sign, too, that Manny Franco comes back to her.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to be she's going to be odds on in here, obviously, and she deserves to be.
Absolutely. I mean, the horse that she has to beat is Touche, who is, at the end of the day, a deep closer. And I don't know about you, but I find it tough to trust these types. Just generically speaking, she does drop out of much better company, and she was close in those starts 3 and 4 back when in maiden claiming company for Gary Contessa. So, yeah. She's kind of the other horse in here. Look, we saw the race very similarly, and I really couldn't come up with anybody else other than her. I mean, I was a little bit intrigued by Dramatic Effect, who does seem to be, her last race I thought was good. She was out sprinted early. She kept chasing while being wired by Stop Giggling. And then Belle of the Ball, I thought, ran well. 2 starts after that, so maybe it's a little bit more of a liver 20 than it might appear. So she was kind of the long shot I wanted to throw in.
I'm with you. I thought Touche could show, even if it shows a little bit of natural progression from 3 to 4, she's still at least 4 lengths slower than the favorite coming into this race, and she's going to be very far back. But just this race, I think, take the painful odds-on chalk in this spot. And it's, again, going to be a very short price. 4th race, $50,000 starter allowance coming up. 1 1/8 in this race to kick off the pick 6.
Yeah, I went with the speed. I know not really well-known connections. I'm not familiar with Rohan Samsundar. I'm sorry, my contacts are real. Do you wear contacts?
I do, and it's wait about 5 or 10 more years.
Yeah, I know. I'm dying right now, and I'm like, I'm not even 40. Anyway, but I went with Night Effect here, so if I'm like going like this at my thing, that's why my contacts are failing me at the moment. But I just saw it as simple as that, because so many other logical horses in here, Greg, just are devoid of speed.
Yeah, I went with Grandpa's Kid, and I'll get to that horse in a minute.
Sure.
Proven Hope, I think, is really interesting in this spot. This horse is put
Eddie
together.
Barco and Fuega.
What's that?
Eddie Barker.
Yeah. Back-to-back wins. This horse is coming off the best figure of the career by far, but it was a muddy, sealed track as well. It was at a mile, not a 1 1/8, so a couple of question marks there. And coming off that huge figure, is this horse, potential to regress at all? It was by far the best this horse has ever won, but I think very interesting. Who are we looking at here?
This is Proven Hope.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to. I think this is kind of the X factor horse in the race.
Absolutely, but there were major question marks with me. Yes, he's obviously a horse that has done well in the hands of Eddie Barker, but I've always questioned his affinity or ability to go the 9 furlongs, which he's going to have to do here. And furthermore, his first win came on the turf. His other 2 wins, as of late, have come on sealed surfaces.
Yeah.
Now he's going to have to do it on a fast track at a 1 1/8, which I think is just too much for him.
Yeah. Centavo, real quick, was a little interesting to me, but this could be his 4th race in 42 days.
Yeah.
That's a pretty heavy workload.
It absolutely is. He is coming off the back of a win. Again, that was on a wet surface, and I just don't think his 1 1/8 races are as good, but arguably against tougher fields.
Yeah. I want to go into Grandpa's Kid, who
I respect.
He's going to be the favorite in here, right?
Based upon his last 2 races.
He's put together, back-to-back races, thoroughgraph-wise, same number, so he's paired up, which I think he's going to take a move forward today. He comes from well out of it. Look, he's a dead closer in the spot, but I really like the fact that his 1 1/8 race, I think he might excel at a 1 1/8.
I agree with you.
I thought he found another gear late in this race, which excited me about him at this distance.
Right, and this race dominated forwardly. We saw, this is the race 2 back, we saw Masterwork albeit setting a quick pace. Aula tracking, 3 or 4 lengths
Dude,
off of it.
Aula won 3 of the last 5. as well.
Exactly. Came back with a huge effort again, last week. And so Grandpa's Kid made it very close in the end with him. And I mean, even his last race at a mile was good enough here. So Grandpa's Kid, definitely the horse to beat. I just wanted this likely speed in a race, completely lacking it with all of the other logical contenders.
And just last thing I'll say too, St. James, you have 4th. I didn't use in here, but this horse had 3 races in a row that were the fastest figures of pretty much anybody in this race. And then what happened the last 2 starts is just been nowhere.
Right, because at a mile and 1/8, you don't get the quicker paces.
And bad out of the gate, too.
Exactly. So he's going to try for the 3rd start in a row to go 9 furlongs. I don't necessarily get it.
Okay, race 5 that we break? Sound
Dude,
good?
I always guess, but that sounds good to me.
Okay, we'll do race 5 and then we'll break. 7 furlongs to start the late pick 5. New York bred, first allowance condition coming up in this spot. We have not agreed yet, have we?
No. I went a little bit off the reservation here. This is a little bit of a stab, which I am not against Dr. Kraft whatsoever, but you're taking the worst of it. He was over 30 to 1 last time, and now he's going to be favored. He's probably going to be less than his 5-2 morning line with the scratch of Quick to Accuse. So I thought maybe I'll try to get a little bit cute here and take a price horse, which I think I'll say my piece on him really quick. With Kaz's Sugar Bank, yeah, he needs a little bit of the pace to come back to him, but I think there's a situation where there could be enough pace in here with Fortune's Nephew. Please be nice. That gray wing scratching doesn't help my case much.
I actually think TP or P Money could be the quickest horse in the race.
Sure.
Time for him doesn't have. This horse has sprint speed.
Going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. I hear you.
Yeah. So yeah, even with that horse out, there's still some pace in here. So I went to Dr. Kraft. I know there is something to that at times. Yeah. You missed it, 31 to 1. Now he's going to be a very short price. But I don't know. In this case, I think this horse is actually trending in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And Trevor McCarthy did it. You can't talk about 2 just completely different rides from the last 2 starts from this horse. Rat Ortiz Jr., and who knows, maybe just didn't have the ability to be forward that day. But he kind of took him back, tried to get down to the fence, and then Trevor was aggressive with him. And I know it was an inside and outside post. But hopefully he can do that because now he's back down on the inside again. But he was forward that day. He did all the dirty work and fought in this race. And the winner actually got a great setup.
Got a perfect chip,
to win it for him.
Yeah, rock and roll.
I like this horse and the way he's going. He's been moving forward with the exception, of that race 3 starts back with the 1.70 on that wet track. Incrementally getting better and better and better. And I don't think it was this one-off at 31 to 1 where he just missed you missed it. I think he's getting very good right now.
Oh, no, I get your argument completely, and that's why I'm not against him. I want to use him with a horse that's going to be a better price, that does have consistent numbers in Kaz's Sugar Bank here. So that's why ultimately I decided to go with him. Now, David Aragon, our morning line odds maker, has Fortune's Nephew as the 2 to 1 favorite, and rightfully so, because he has been the favorite in all 4 of his career starts so far and only able to deliver once.
A lot of love for that horse. And more lightly raced than most in here. He's got upside, but we'll see what happens. And it's going to be interesting to see what Trevor does again with that. I hope he's forward again. I think he has to be because he ran so good last time that way.
Oh, yeah. And I think, the 7 furlongs for Fortune's Nephew having to deal with other likely speeds poses a major issue. I do respect the fact that on this particular day, he was able to stay on and run a respectable race without getting the lead in that compromising inside position where he broke a bit flat-footed and was just in chase mode. So I respect that, but I still feel as though he's not worth it at a projected short price.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk late pick 4 next.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
We love Saratoga water. We really
We
do.
do.
It is the best water on the planet.
I agree.
We're going to get into the late pick 4 coming
Wait,
up.
are you a sparkling or still man?
Still.
I'm sparkling.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're both
I like
great.
bubbles.
Late pick 4, maiden special weight, 6.5 furlongs here. We're going to take a look at Daughter of Time and the debut for Charlie Baker. Went off as the favorite. Charlie Baker going off as the favorite here. So obviously there was some buzz about this horse. Actually dueled with Monarch in this race, put that one away, and then backs up to third. Was inside post that day. Did that dirty work and backed up first time out. Now has the benefit of that start. Now gets outside post today. I thought a lot to like.
Yeah, she didn't do herself any favors by not switching leads. And yes, it is a significant factor that this horse for Charlie Baker, not known with his debuters, to take money. But I do think it was a suspect field. This feels like a stronger field, but hey, I went with her here, Greg, because I like the fact that she has speed, and usually where there's smoke, there's fire. Charlie Baker with his second starters in maiden special weights on the dirt, 8 for 36. So they do tend to show up as well, just hoping she's able to switch leads. And as you said, like the move towards the outside again.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest question marks on this whole card today is Wesley Ward's filly, Sarir. He's, we expect to see these Wesley Ward youngsters fire, be fast out of the gate. That was not the case with Sarir. Got off a step slow in that race. Reconcile, who won that race, actually came back with second to the stake in that extra heat, improving about, I think, 6 Beyer points next time out.
Yep.
Wesley's pretty good the second time out, too.
Yeah, he has great numbers. Dorothy's Dream, who we saw winning against Daughter of Time in that race, she obviously came back to improve, but she had her chances, too. Sarir, it's funny. This pedigree, to me, I don't know about you, screams turf. So maybe it's a positive that Wesley continues to bring her up here to New York to run her on our dirt surfaces. And even looking at her workouts, her turfway works on this Tapeta don't appear to be as good as her dirt works on Keeneland. So I get it, but I don't know if I trust her.
Yeah, and a lot of times, too, with debuters, people just default to Wesley, and maybe that's why she took so much money.
And it was a short field that day. Linda able to, I think, Reconcile was like the longest price in that field.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you see with, I'm interested to hear about the taco lady.
I love the name. I mean, I am a taco lady myself. I purely, and watching her workout, albeit it was back in May at Timonium, she did move more like a turf horse. She kind of had that higher knee action, but enticed with his freshman crop, he was hitting at about 13% with his debuters, and both of the siblings won on debut, including Blue Gator, who is a fairly talented New York-bred dirt sprinter. So I probably am wrong, and the other maker's probably better in here. As she's a half Yay Hooray, a half to Super Hoity Toity, who's a multiple graded stakes winner, but on the synthetic and turf. And the other sibling better on the turf as well, both of them, albeit by Uncle Mo. So I wanted to kind of use the taco lady. I know her works don't look that, fast. But I just thought she was a little bit interesting because there was precocity in that pedigree.
You got it. Chad Brown first or two that Dam was over for, I guess had a quick OBS work, and then the Dam is a half to.
It wasn't even that quick though, Greg.
Dam's a half to a Grade 1 winner on Polytrack though.
Yeah,
who
and
won the Ashland.
Right,
Yeah.
who, why? This is the one I took a stand against.
We
She
both
could
did,
beat me, and so her workouts do match Stress Reliever, who ran yesterday in that New York bred maiden special weight. Mm-hmm. She was dreadful. I mean, she was green. I maybe would want to, fool around with her next time out, but she ran horribly, and that put a sour taste in my mouth. And she did work. She worked 10 and 1, which really isn't that quick at the OBS workout sales. She didn't move like a sprinter. She kind of lowered herself. She showed that she had some gear. So I didn't hate the work, but at the end of the day, it wasn't that fast.
All right, let's move on to race 7. 6 furlongs, 16 claiming race, non-winners of 2 life in this spot. And I guess let's look at Barry Funny first to kick things off here, who Thoroughgraph numbers I look at, 4 consecutive races is running the exact same number. So at least you're going to get consistency with this horse who's coming off a state-bred 30 maiden claiming win. But it's not going to be that much out of the stretch of possibilities to, if a repeat of that number, this horse is right in the mix.
And there's an argument that he was against the racetrack. This track on January 4 tilted more towards inside runners, and he was just parked outside of his stablemate in Waffler, who was able to kind of stay on gamely, I think, probably more with the racetrack than Very Funny, but he was just best. And I think one could say, well, is it a negative that Linda opts, off the claim for 30 just to drop in? No, I think when you win a maiden claimer for New York Prize, I feel like this is the logical spot.
And the rest of this field is just pretty suspect.
I agree.
Probably outside of Newport Bridge.
Yeah, but I went with Grand again, just taking the speed on the outside, who is coming off his best effort. And it seems like from the July to November layoff, this horse has come back better for Lolita Schimmingle. And I kind of wanted, it took him 16 tries to break his maiden, but sometimes when that light bulb goes on,
No,
it
and
stays
absolutely. I believe in that.
Yeah, so I just, Very Funny is going to be a short price in here. Prior to the scratch of his entry mate, I thought would be, just so short in price. Probably get a little bit of a more fair price this time around, but I don't trust Newport Bridge as far as I can throw him.
40 down to 16.
He hates a wet track. You could say that.
Needs it. This horse was facing some decent horses, and it's shown some ability. Win for Gold.
I did not like that effort too back. He was supposed to win, and he did not.
No, I agree with you. Tough one to see beyond a couple. Yes, I guess speed could be dangerous in there, but there's some horses that are very suspect in there. 8th race, mile and an eighth, allowance optional claiming field. Here in race number 8, you go to Sweet Mystery. I like you taking some shots today.
Taking some shots. So Copa Girl, your favorite.
I think it's fair to say mile and an eighth is a question, isn't it?
Now, she did run her fastest race 2 back, going a mile and an eighth. But looking at her, she just doesn't look like a mile and an eighth type of horse. There's, pedigree to say being a Constitution and Summer Bird mare, but she was beaten by Mo Bubbly in that effort. And while Mo Bubbly was dreadful trying Stakes Company against Tougher and Saddle Up Jesse and Comparative, okay, fine. But she just ran out the back door.
That number. Buyers figures gave that a big number. Thoroughgraph-wise, it was a much, much slower race than what she's run both times in a mile.
Perfect. You're complimenting my
Having said, I still went with her.
I went with Sweet Mystery because I thought that she's coming out of the 7 for a long race. And the last 2 times, Trevor McCarthy has really hustled this filly. And it's kind of like he wants her to be involved. And she didn't necessarily respond going the 7 furlongs, but that was a day where speed pretty much dominated. So I understand why he was trying to hustle her to get that forward position. Now she stretches out to a mile and an eighth where it's going to be easier to get that forward position. And she's just been so consistent. Now, whether that consistent number wins here and beats Copa Girl, I don't know. I'm banking on the fact that Copa Girl isn't a 9 furlong type of runner, where I think Sweet Mystery can be if she gets the right kind of trip. So I took a shot here with Sweet Mystery. I mean, I didn't want any part of the entry necessarily.
How do we say that, the 1A's name?
Oh my gosh. Did you go down the rabbit hole? Because I went down the rabbit hole, Greg.
I have no clue.
So it's a town or a city in Morocco. Morocco, their language is Arabic. They also have a major French influence. I looked at English, or American, British, Arabic, and French pronunciations, and they're all different. So I went with what was kind of the American/Arabic, and it's Essaouira.
Okay, I don't ever want to hear an owner get angry at someone for a pronunciation until they submit their horse's name with a pronunciation.
I agree.
That's all that needs to happen.
I mean, it is a town. It's not like it's a made-up word. So to be fair, but again, right?
Yeah.
Which way do you want it pronounced?
I'll say about this horse. So there is that race at Delaware, came off the turf on the wet fast track that actually a bigger thoroughgraph number than anyone in this field's ever run, including Copa Girl on her best race. That's a little bit intriguing. That was at a mile and 70. It's Dutrow, who's he's moving horses forward, sometimes by leaps and bounds. He's obviously back. So she was a little interesting to me.
I didn't like her in the paddock, and I usually like Dutcher horses. Last time, I think more ground. Obviously, they were trying to, the 7/8s, more ground's probably better for her. And then Toned Up, who, I suppose could be effective here, but I think she's best when she has some pace to run at. So we'll take a look at her here, closing from well off of it with Just Catherine, who at times is a decent mare, but I don't know. I'd rather take somebody more forwardly placed. And Isawira.
Well done.
Whatever.
That sounded perfect.
Projects to be forward. So I get it. They're a complementary type of entry, albeit for different trainers, but they're going to be a short price, and I don't know how good they are.
And Copa Girl, this could be very short.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just, I took a little bit of a shot here with a consistent type.
Okay. I absolutely think Mile and Eighth is fair to question that with her. Let's move on to race 9, 1-turn mile. New York breds, maiden special weight to close out the card. I'm disappointed in myself that I went to the chalk in here because I do think there's some interesting runners in this spot. You don't have this horse anywhere.
I hate him. I shouldn't say that. I don't hate him. I strongly dislike Quiet Wisdom. He has been the beaten favorite in 4 of his 5 efforts for Todd Pletcher, who is supposed to get the job done. He's one I've never liked in the paddock, and his faster races, I don't know what Thorograph has, but his faster races have come going shorter.
Okay. I did like the fact that at least he put in some run, making a wide move in the spot, and the figures he has run, and it's not his fault he's been the favorite, but yeah, you expect Todd Pletcher horses to get this done, right? You do.
Yeah.
But his figures are at least tied for the fastest of anybody in this group, but I just feel like he is going to get this horse to turn the corner a little bit and get a little improvement. I guess maybe at this point he is what he is, but that might be good enough against this group. There's
I thought this
no
was
one
way
in this
too
field.
Interesting.
There's some more. Okay, so who's
Maybe
so
I'm making
interesting?
it more complicated. I went with Charles J in here and I love Jolie and Jackie Davis. They are some of my favorite people. But for them to be, 4 to 5 to 1 in a maiden special weight with 11 runners, that's saying something. Now, Charles J was completely outsprinted over that muddy sealed surface, going the 6 furlongs. It's a live race with Doc Sullivan coming back and running monster with an 82. Allied Attack came back to win as well. And he just was really green with the kickback, and then he kind of went really wide in the stretch and put in a mild rally. I think with the stretch out, he's going to be placed into a more tracking position, much like he was in that very ambitious spot down at Laurel against Winners first time out on the turf. So I'm hoping where there's smoke, there's fire with the given odds that he went off with last time. So I'm going to take my chances here with Charles J, who I'm hoping I get a decent price of around 15 to 1 on. I didn't necessarily like St. Gaudens. He was dreadful. He's going to benefit from getting more ground, but he was dreadful.
Favorite first time out of multiple Grade 1 winner. You just expect these horses for Chad Brown to be ready to go better. I didn't think this horse did much running. I actually was very intrigued. I almost made this time, one of my plays in here, but it was 30 to 1 on the morning line.
He beat him. He ran better than St. Gaudens.
He did. And I think he's a little bit interesting, but the more I go back and look at that race, it just was not a very good race
now,
from anyone.
Burning Beauty projects to take a lot of money. Now, granted, he was wired like many of those who come out of that January 13th mile effort by Just Step on It, who was 19 to 1 that day. But again, Liberty Central came back. He ran his best race to date with a 74 and dominating a maiden special weight field here last week. Burning Beauty, but he was green. I don't want to say he completely lacks any sort of early foot. He was very green, and I think with the blinkers on, it should help him, and he did make up the most ground of any. So for me, he's a definite use in here. Interesting pedigree with Christoph's other horse in Landoro, Medaglia d'Oro. the dam is good long. She was Stakes Place New York bred. This is her first foal, but she's out of Concord Kid, which makes her a half to Bar of Gold, Breeders' Cup Dirt Sprint winner, as well as Spirit of St. Louis, who is more of a turf horse. But both of them, they're the only two. Exactly. Yeah. They're the only two by Medaglia d'Oro. This horse is by Medaglia d'Oro. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what to make him putting Maddie all over him, but Maddie, kind of got her start at the racetrack for Christophe. So yeah.
Look, there could be chaos certainly in this race. Part of the reason too with Charles J, you say, oh yeah, Allied Attack came back out of the race and won in that extremely slow this time yes race that I didn't love. But you bring up a good point with that horse taking money. There certainly could be chaos, but that's why I was disappointed in myself to go with the favorite in here. But I do think
I couldn't do it. I also used Merlin's Moment in here, who full brother, only other sibling is Baldassar, who won his first 2 starts for Jimmy Bond, and has run competitively against winners since then as well. So I thought he was a little bit intriguing.
See how it plays out. That wraps it up. Good luck, everybody. And obviously, after the game, enjoy the big one coming up. Let's go through it again. We're going to be entirety of the show?
No, FS1 till 3.
No, you're on the entirety of the show, though?
Oh, well, the whole card here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Get signed up, started, play it all with Downriver Bets. $200 deposit match sign up bonus, match 200 for new customers. That middle pick 4 begins in race 3. Get after it. We could see some you took some stands today. It could be we could be looking at a carryover when we come back next week.
I would.
With this kind of a card.
That'd be fun.
Cross country pick 5 with Aqueduct in Oaklawn begins at 2:52 Eastern time. It starts with that 7th in New York, and we are on. Oh no, sorry, I jumped it. $5,000 hit split, $2,500 each in the pot if you hit the late pick 3 at Aqueduct and Oaklawn. You got to opt in, so don't forget that part of it. And there we go. We started FS1 12:30 Eastern, and then we jump over to FS2 at 3 Eastern. We will see you then. We look forward to it. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday, everybody.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.